What is up, YouTube? Gravity Trades here with another video. This is going to be the weekly watch list videos that I'm going to be posting. This is the first one on the channel. I'm going to be posting these every Sunday night or Monday morning whenever you watch them. So this one's going to be for the week of July 12th, 2020. I'm going to give my thoughts on the market, where it's currently sitting, what I expect to see this week, my watch list, and everything like that. So let's get started here. As you can see, I have my Thinkorswim open. This is where I do my charting and watch everything. This left chart here is the Dow, the Y/YM, the Dow futures here. So if we just pull this up, we can see after this is the Fibonacci lines we have drawn. We had the big sell-off happen for COVID. We started to recover here, and now we're kind of just we're trading sideways on the Dow. We're using this 61.8% retracement fib right here. We're just trading around that range. This is the daily candles we're looking at right now. We had a high of we had a little bounce up here. This is like a couple weeks ago where the market just went straight up, and then we came down, and now we just leveled off. Kind of, if you like don't zoom in as much, kind of looks like a bear flag potentially forming here. Like we have, let's see if I had this. We have that line, and then we have kind of a flag here. It's not it's a really bad flag, I would say. Kind of just consolidating. If we look down here in the TTM squeeze on the daily, we've had like 5 red dots in a row, which means we're consolidating, and a big move is potentially coming soon. If we go into a little smaller time frame with 5 minutes, for today we gapped up. When the futures open, we had a nice little gap up, and then we sold off some, and it looks like we just leveled out. We're trading right above the VWAP. Oh, trading right above VWAP now, and just been trading sideways all night on the Dow. So if we go back to the daily, that's my overview right now for the market. Since this week is not the biggest earnings week, but it's a pretty important earnings week. We have a lot of banks and stuff coming up. I think the Dow is going to continue to trade sideways this week. We might come up to this 26,717 right at the top of this previous green candle here. Some resistance. That's as high as I think it will come. I think maybe we'll test the 78.6 this week if market just straight pumps all week. But that's going to ask a lot, because I definitely know we're going to have a lot of news events coming, and the coronavirus numbers are going up, the cases, the deaths in some states are reclosing down and all that. So that is real major. If like we see more states shut down or more places push back their reopenings, that's going to definitely impact the market. So I see the Dow just trading a little sideways this week. Like I said, 26,717 is probably as high as I see it going. And depending on how bad the news is, we might come all the way back down to 24,407. It really depends on the news. I don't think that's realistic, but just look at this big red candle we had like a couple weeks back. If the lowest I see us coming back down like 24,741 on the Dow, that's my personal opinion. So if we go over to this right chart now, or actually we'll just pull up the right chart here. This is the S&P. Let me just remove some of these drawings. So here we have the S&P, kind of looking like the Dow. We had the drop for COVID, recovered, and we dropped back down. And now we're kind of trading sideways, kind of not. We dropped, then we sat down at the lows for 2 days, and we popped back up. We traded sideways with more of a downtrend, and we came back up, and we traded sideways last week. All week you can see we traded sideways, and with the little gap up that we had today, you can see we're a little bit higher, but that's depending on how the day actually goes. We could just continue to trade sideways. We have double support down here at like 3108. Yeah, 3108 is like support for the S&P. So that's pretty tough support to break, and under that we got all the way back down to like 300 or 3000 on the S&P or 300 on the SPY, which is crucial levels to hold. If we go into the 5 minute now, as you can see, just like the Dow, we pumped all day, all into close on Friday, and we had a nice little gap up today. A Sunday night when the futures open, we had a gap up, hit a high of 31.99, and then we dropped back down and then recovered some, but trading just above the VWAP, only up 15 points or 0.47%. Not too much. Anything could bring this right back down, and we can open red tomorrow, so who knows what happens in the morning. Let's go back to the daily on the S&P, on the S&P. My outlook for this, like the overall market, like the Dow, if the Dow goes up, the S&P just won't slack behind too much. So my overall outlook, like I said, I expect the market to go up a little bit, but not crazy amounts. I could be completely wrong. We could just rocket up off of any good news. We find a vaccine or anything like that. We could rock it up, and I could be wrong. But I do, as you can see, we've been trading sideways. So I do expect us to kind of continue that. We could get a big move up out of this consolidation. We can get a big move up or down. Like I said, I'd expect up. We can see 32 to 35 this week. Just these highs over here. A couple, when was that? 6-9, like the start of June. We may see those highs again coming very soon if we can get some upward momentum and the news doesn't come out that we have like really bad COVID cases or whatever like that. We've really got to watch the news in this situation because states are reclosing and it could send us back down. I don't think we'll ever test, not ever, but I don't think we'll test these lows again unless we get like wave 2 and everything shuts down again, like completely. It's the only way I think we retest these lows. We may get another pullback down to like the 300 range, like we've had 1, 2. May come back down again and just continue to trade sideways till like the end of summer, because summer is usually a little less volume and slower. So yeah, that's my outlook on the S&P and the Dow, like where the overall market is going. I expect us to go up a little bit, but nothing crazy. Still kind of sideways. The real big gains are going to be found in individual stocks that are having news. Like if we pull up like Netflix, like this is, look at Netflix. It's having this earnings run up. They have earnings coming 7/16, so not too long. We just pull up the 1 minute from Friday. Look at it all day. It's just pumped all day. You have to find the stocks with big moves. Let's pull up Walmart. Look at Walmart. They had news of their Amazon competitor. It's like Walmart Plus. This news has been helping it fly recently. I think it Spot's another one that's. Spot didn't have that great of a Friday, but if we pull up their like daily charts, they flew. They got news of getting Joe Rogan on a podcast and like one of the Kardashians or whatever. So they've been pumping, and they have more news about like going in Russia or something like that, I've heard. So that could definitely help them. Let me just pull up. I have the earnings calendar. Just pull this over here. So this is one of my favorite Twitter accounts to follow, Earnings Whisperer. It's great for basically everything earnings. If you don't know what's coming up or anything like that, I do recommend having Earnings Whisperer followed on Twitter. Here's a chart of like the big earnings coming this week. So tomorrow before open, we got Pepsi. I expect them to beat. I'm not too excited for those, but later in the week there's some good ones. Like Tuesday before open, the big ones I'm going to be watching are JP Morgan and Wells Fargo and Citi. The banks, or not just those, any bank this week is huge to watch. If banks have been getting crushed during COVID. They had stress tests. They had like the worst. They're still at lows. They haven't even recovered any, like the tech stocks or anything like that. So all banks are very weak. If their earnings are terrible and it doesn't look good for banks, they impact our entire economy. So if banks aren't good, our economy is not good. So, and the market will react if banks are really bad. So I would keep an eye on the bank earnings, and if they're terrible, the market's going to take that news and probably drop with it. But if I personally expect them to be better than like what most expect, because all this bad news could be priced in. They've had stress tests like couple weeks back that was not very good, and the whole COVID, they've just been getting smacked. So if their earnings are a little bit like anything over expectations, it will pump the market a lot. So if banks are good, I could see the market going a lot higher this week. Another big one to be watching out for is Domino's is a big mover on earnings, and so is we have Netflix coming on Thursday after close. That's a huge one to keep an eye out. They've been running up all week, so they may continue to run up into their earnings, or they just might sell off before earnings because they already had their earnings run up. Other than that, they're like the only big ones I'm watching: the banks, Domino's, and Netflix for this week. So we go back to our charts. So let me just pull up. Let's take a look at crude real quick. Crude open, slight gap down, nothing really. It's still trading sideways right now. I would keep an eye on crude this week. If anything, any news comes out with crude, it could really send the market down as well. We had some news. What is this? Wednesday that wasn't so good, and we had a big red on Wednesday on the crude. And then if you look at the S&P, we on the right here, we also had a big red on Wednesday. This, I think this is Wednesday, or this one might be Wednesday. Oh yeah, we had a green on Wednesday for the S&P. That was my fault there. I got this candle's the gap that we had today. So we had a green on Wednesday, but it was nothing crazy. We could have probably had bigger if the oil news didn't come out and push oil down a lot. So I would keep an eye on oil. Like I said, this week I'll be watching oil. I'll be watching banks, Domino's, Netflix, the big tech, all your big tech, AMD, Apple, Microsoft. I'll be watching CLF. They got a bunch. I don't really know much about CLF, but they got tons and tons of call flow coming in on Friday here. You just look at them, they went straight up, so investors are expecting a lot out of them. So that's be one I'm watching. Yeah, that's basically the outlook for this week. I expect markets to go up slightly, nothing too crazy, kind of still trade in this range that they've been trading for the past few weeks now. If banks do bad, I expect market to come down. If banks do surprisingly well, I expect markets to probably break out and push higher than these ranges that they've been in. And yeah, so if you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments below. I appreciate everyone listening, and I'll try to make these videos shorter next time. I don't know, 12 minutes. I don't know if that's long or short. Let me know if you think that's too much, or if I talk too much, or if I miss some main big points. It's like my second stock video, so try to do better next time. And one more thing, later this week, I'm gonna try to get out maybe like a TOS setup guide, or like how to use Thinkorswim or Tastyworks, since I use that as well. Maybe put something out like that to help any new members or new traders. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button, hit subscribe since I'm brand new. I really appreciate it, and I'll keep pumping out content and sharing my thoughts with everyone. Peace.